All right. Well, everybody, Happy New Year and welcome to our first meetup for the year. This is, of course, WordPress Web Help Meetup group. It's good to see some of our core members are here. Um, we had more RSVPs. I'm still hoping a few other folks will show up. But in the meantime, again, I'll welcome you to our new year. We usually start out with seeing if anybody is bringing any issues to the table, and your issue can be at different levels. It doesn't have to be a beginner's issue. It can be a small business issue. It can be something that you're combating in a particular project, and we can see about chatting about it. I was going to suggest that, and we always start with introductions right after well, we usually bring the issues during the first 15 minutes, which we're past technically at this point. Um, but I was going to suggest that when we do our introductions, um, if you can tell us a particular subject, whether WordPress or business, that is going to be a focus for you this year. Um, and or something you'd like to cover, you'd like us to focus on in this group. Um, so let me put this in the chat. Our intros are usually, just take a minute, let us know. I invite you to put your contact information in the chat. Let people know how they can reach out to you in case somebody wants to do that outside of our running time. And I'm just going to choose folks as I see you on my screen. Linda was our first arrival, so I'm going to start with her. Linda, you want to tell us, well, here, I should press send. Who you are, where you are, what it is your brings you here.
Okay,
Um,
well, so I've been working with WordPress since around 2004. It's changed a lot, so there's always more and more to learn. So I never get bored. Um, so let me see, and I'm in San Mateo, California, on the peninsula,
was that
and on
Summit
the
Hill?
San Mateo,
Oh, San
San,
Mateo. I'm sorry.
yeah, just south of San Francisco.
Of course.
Um, let's see. What what is the
What?
what?
Yeah. What are you? What is going to be a focus? I mean, here we are in January. As you see it, what might be an important focus for you? It could be, an area of growing your business. It could be a particular skill that you want to acquire this year. It's it's
Yeah.
it's a
I
loose question. So,
okay. Well, I've been working with GeneratePress for the last few months and I really like it. So I think I have another website coming up. I feel like I'd like to organize it with ACF fields and find ways to make it easier for the editors and more intuitive. Because one thing I've found is that there's so many areas in GeneratePress. Like there's the elements and then there's conditions and all these things, overlays. And I think it can get a little confusing sometimes. So I feel like that's a challenge I'd like to wrap my head around. And ideas for the group, I don't know. I love learning, so I always enjoy hearing what other people are struggling with, and so that's why I'm here. And biggest WordPress for business, I just do sites for nonprofits and small businesses. So
Now,
Yeah.
what was the software you were going to focus on? WordPress?
WordPress and I
No, no,
like
no. What there was
GeneratePress. I like GeneratePress.
GeneratePress.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've tried a lot of them. I tried Elementor first, then I tried Bricks, which I liked a lot, but I found that when my clients logged in, they were a little shell-shocked. And it seems like when I do the site with GeneratePress, they log in and they say, "Oh yeah, I know what to do." So some
Okay.
people would prefer the client never log in. So, Bricks would be fine if I had that situation, but I don't.
Awesome.
So, yeah, but thank you. Thanks for hosting this meetup. And I look forward to learning from everyone.
Well, it's good to see you again, and thank you for that. Mr. Noder, Mike Noder.
Yeah, I'm Mike from Spokane. I think everybody here has already seen me from time to time. I run meetups. I manage a few websites, the usual stuff. Things coming up this year. I do have some new projects. Going to be focusing on affiliate marketing and video content for products and services. So that's what's coming up this year.
And I imagine you will continue your evolution as an AI practitioner.
Well, the AI is just a means to an end. It's just another tool.
Yes, it is.
Like, everybody, oh, AI this, AI that, but at the end of the day, is you still need your value proposition. So what are you trying to do? And you could do it quicker, faster. I don't know necessarily more reliably, but it's just like any other tool. You know.
Hang on a second. Let me get rid of a call.
Well, on the topic of AI, there certainly is more and more AI tools all the time. It's
Yeah.
just a bit overwhelming. I think they're all going to be free. I don't know how I don't know how they're spending these billions and billions of dollars in a saturated market that's only growing, and most of them are giving it away already anyway. So,
Do you have a favorite model right now?
well, I've been using Grok a lot for image generation.
Mm-hmm.
They all work for text pretty much. Some of the agentic stuff, the process stuff, I'm still starting to play around with. Um, I can't really recommend any one over the other because I'm just not an expert in it. But I do play around with it every week. I do something with AI, not every day, but every week. And I've generated some content, I've generated some text, I've generated images, but I'm going to be doing more with AI video too coming up. But my main
Mm-hmm.
focus that coming up this year is going to be actually specific to market products and services. And there's a little bit of general content that goes with it, telling a story type stuff. And I probably will be playing with AI. The tools I'm using right now is OBS and DaVinci Resolve, if you're familiar with those two.
No.
Yeah, they're both free. The OBS stands for Online Broadcast Studio, and you can record on your computer, you can stream, you can do a lot. And then DaVinci Resolve is a pretty much a high-end video editing software. In fact, a lot of the big theatrical movies they use DaVinci Resolve because they like their color rendering. But
Mm-hmm.
their free version is so powerful, and what you have to pay Adobe and how long it takes to learn it is like it's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of video editors moving over to DaVinci Resolve. There's some other ones like it's called SnapCut, and there's like 5 or 6 of them that are.
It depends. So where Adobe's better because I've used the different tools when I was more into video editing and I did some graphic stuff. If you want a system that links together and plays like almost plug and play, you can embed from their software. Adobe's much better if you're using all their tools. That's where it shines. Is it? So that's it's so, and it is somewhat taught as an industry standard, but that's its main strength. Because when I used all the tools, it was a lot better than having a bunch of mixed tools, export this, do that. You would just use this Illustrator file and it would just read it right into Premiere and After Effects and all that stuff. And you didn't have to, the workflow is very seamless. If you don't need all that, then Adobe isn't necessarily, there are tools that are equivalent, if not potentially better, depending what you want. Like you said, color correction and things like that. It's all use case.
Yeah, I mean it's been well, geez, 28 years since I got certified on the Adobe video editing Premiere. Um, but we also have to remember that yeah, it's lovely to have all that integration, and Adobe has a lot of products, and they do give you a lot of value, especially on their Premiere bundles, because everything is a bundle. You have to figure
I
out which
liked it because
combination.
I really liked it. I could edit something in Photoshop, do something in Illustrator, do something in After Effects, you import this thing, do this thing. You could essentially just import the file directly into, and you didn't have to make duplicates. It would read right from it. Like that was the idea. You weren't doing
No,
duplicate work, but if you're not using every tool, it's
no, like I
not
say, it's nice to have the
the
CS.
value isn't as great.
Yeah, I mean the Creative Suite is unparalleled. However, what are you paying for Adobe? You're probably paying $300-400 a year for that, whereas DaVinci Resolve, which is, I mean, it's 90% of what without the integration, because DaVinci doesn't have that legacy of
Oh, I was
products.
being paid
But
to video edit. So the amount of time it saved me, it actually ended up being a cost benefit. So all use case there, definitely. It was
mm,
all paid editing, paid project. So for me, and at the time, it actually made me money.
what
There's
additional
no denying
products
that
were
Adobe
you
is not a
using?
very
Well, actually, you
powerful.
know what? We should probably continue on with Hetty, um, before we get misrouted from our introductions, and we'll come back. We'll come back to we can come back to DaVinci Resolve if you guys want. Uh, Miss Hetty,
Hi, Ed. You had me looking to see what I pay for my Creative Suite because I don't even look.
I
I don't
don't
even know
even
what
know
it
what it's
costs.
going for. I have an older copy.
I don't even know. Well, it's subscription based, so I'm
Yeah,
not.
they just went up to almost 70 a month.
Yeah,
They
I
just
Wow,
don't
increased it, so that's
know.
over $600 a year.
that's for the full set.
Yeah, for the Creative Suite, because yeah, I've had it, I think since like year 2000. So
Yep.
I have a lot of stuff in the cloud and everything, because I signed up for classes at the junior college and I could get it for a discount, but then I wouldn't have access to all my stuff in the cloud. So
Now, when you have the student version, because it's been a while since I checked the licensing, um, as I understood it, you're not allowed to do commercial projects, but since you do nonprofits, does the license allow you to do not-for-profit projects?
I didn't sign up for the student version, but as far as I know, it's a full version and I can
It's yeah.
use it for whatever I want.
Yeah, I
Because
believe
I have
it's.
a student license for Figma and I can use it for anything.
uh
I'm not
Yeah,
limited.
I'm pretty sure
Also on the
you're
terms of
allowed all the
agreement. Yeah,
features.
if
You
you read
just.
into it, you mean it tells you there are stipulations. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
absolutely.
Maybe I just never paid any
I
attention.
don't want we don't want to throwing it out here saying you're doing something. Yeah, it is there are stipulations to different ones and why. I went through this before. I paid for the full one because I was say charging for editing. So it
hmm
covered all the subscriptions, but I had a certain version for a reason. Because
Okay.
when I did some research at the time.
Yeah, you're not
Yeah, I don't say
supposed
anymore
you're
because this
supposed to be
might go the
using
wrong
it for
direction.
educational purposes if you have the educational. Now, mind you, you know, some of us may have recorded games without the express permission of the Major League Baseball So, and we've all made copies out of books, so there is a huge fuzzy area when it comes to enforcement of these things. But yeah, that's the way it's
Well,
supposed to be.
I don't have the student version of the Adobe Creative Suite, so I think I'm okay.
You're all right.
Well, you've got an extra $700 in your pocket, that's for sure.
Uh, no, I have to pay for it.
You're
Yeah.
you're paying for the full one.
Yeah.
Oh, you are
I
paying. I'm sorry.
I didn't, I opted not to get the student version or not to get the student license because
Oh, okay.
I have history in my own
Yeah.
personal cloud and I wouldn't be able to access that if I started
Hmm.
another account. So,
Roger that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I decided not to.
So
Hetty,
anyway,
where were we with you?
sorry. So I guess as far as this room is concerned, I guess I would be considered more of a hobbyist who also has a company that I'm doing a website for. So I seem to have made a website for every family member. So my experience is just as far as that goes. So nobody would ever pay me to create a website for them. So anyway, I love these meetings because they keep me informed and I mean, I get so lost and then I come into a meeting and even if you guys are talking about something completely different, it sort of just gets me in the zone so I do better. And Mike, thank you so much for that last meeting because basically I had to get my site up and working this week and it kind of is. It looks terrible, but it's working. And I do have a couple questions, actually very specific questions for this meeting about that. I have a biotech company. It's a RNA sequencing company. And you guys all know this, I think. And I'm just trying to create a functional site. So I come to these meetings not for marketing advice or content advice or illustration advice. I'm looking for the mechanics of how to make the site work because that is very vexing to me. I really don't know how to do the most basic of things. I know a little more now though than I did a couple days ago. So I'm
What was
pretty
the
happy.
last thing you tried to do that you were unable to achieve?
Oh, not have type overlap the photos, not have things just go crazy when you're looking at it in another view. So those are just a few of the things that I learned. And that is actually one thing I wanted to ask today about how you guys manage like the variable, like the VX measure rather than the absolute measure for fonts. Am I speaking Greek here? You can say you want it to be 3 pixels or 20 pixels or 50 pixels, but I noticed that there has been an automatic measure that's gone in. I think it's VX. It might be VW. There's another like variable width, so probably VW. Um, and I looked it up. I just Googled it and I said, oh, this is 1% of the width so that it would change in different views. And so I just wanted to find out if people, I haven't seen it in here, but if people are using that for one
Are,
thing. And
are
then
you
also
are you using a particular theme on
I
every
am
time?
okay. Okay, so this is where it gets really uncomfortable because everybody hates it, but this particular site is in Divi right now. So that's what I'm sticking with to make it work. I had another version of it going, but I decided to stick with Divi just because I just needed to do that for right now.
I'm the
So,
opposite. I have a lifetime to Divi, and Divi 5 is pretty cool.
oh, thank you for saying that.
But I'm
Okay.
not really a web person. I'm an ad person, so everyone here has a different opinion. Like a true web purist and all that. Totally, like, Bloat isn't there, but me, I'll use Divi Elementary because that's not my main thing. Yeah, Divi's not bad. It's like
Did,
just,
did you say ad as an advertising ad?
yes,
Okay, that's my background
that's
originally.
primarily what I do now. So.
If you want
Okay,
to get your website
absolutely.
out, um, make sure you make a note of Daryl's. Um, maybe you guys should have a conversation about your mom's site and getting that book out there. But yeah,
Yeah.
and you know what? I'll weigh in just really quick before we need to get to Daryl and his introduction, but um, especially if you're not a web developer primarily. Um, as long as you pick one, there are alternatives. Now, I'm really trying to stay within just using Gutenberg. I'll add Spectra because it works well with it. And, some of my clients have Astra or whatever, but I'm really trying to focus on getting the most out of Gutenberg. I don't like the idea of adding another editor into the mix for performance reasons and what have you. But I think if your focus is not web development, it's probably best to find one of the, certainly Divi is one of them, and there's a number of, if you've been in this group, there's a number of, or in Mike's Woo Wednesday, you'll see that there are some favorite ones. And I think as long as you vet it, as long as it's something that's well rated, as long as it's something that's still supported, and is, all the things that I do to vet, how many star rating has it, how responsive are they to their community? Because, having some, whether it's a forum sort of environment or an actual support system, if you pick one of the strong ones, it's better to have one that well than to be, trying different ones, because the dashboards are going to be different. They're going to do things in different ways. So, they say don't put your eggs in one basket. Sometimes, put your eggs in, pick a good basket, keep an eye on the basket, make sure it continues to be a good basket, because that sometimes changes. But you'll probably be okay.
Divi's been around since what, 2010
Yeah,
or
I think,
something like that now. And they even rebuilt it, removed short codes in their new one. They made it lightweight. They tried to speed it up. They're making an effort because they were lagging behind.
okay. See,
The
that's
new Divi
something that's
5, they
good.
removed the short codes or reduced them anyways. They went in there, they tried to make it faster, tried to make it lighter. They
Uh,
acknowledged it. They rebuilt it from scratch.
and
So
that's good.
they are committed. So they're a pretty safe bet.
You want a team that's responsive. Nothing remains the same for long, but you will see that certain teams will will do a better job than others to be responsive to either their flaws or technology requirements. And as and Mike, see if this bears out, from like attending Woo Wednesday, which I haven't done in a few weeks, and I apologize. Um, I think a lot of people were expressing some dissatisfaction with Divi, so it's good to hear that from Daryl that they're at least making an effort to regain what they lost.
Oh yeah, it was outdated for quite a while and slow and clunky. And I basically all I use is Elementor because that's what happened on my site now because it's pretty stable. And I have Divi and I'll use it. The only one I actually would say I've had a really bad experience with, I don't know if it's improved because I tried it, is Brizzy. It just never worked. And then you try to make the desktop, the mobile was poor. I had a lifetime deal, so it's not a huge loss to me, but I stopped using it because it just butchered sites. It's one of the few, and I rarely say they're actually. I was
Butchered.
disappointed with Brizzy. I was really disappointed with it. I tried to make it work.
Hmm.
It's the only one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we can move on. That's the thing. Yeah, we don't want people to feel bad because they're
Since you're
not
speaking,
doing what a web dev would do.
why don't you mix in a little introduction?
All right. So I'm
Let's see,
Daryl. I'm based
what
in
haven't you
Kelowna. I'm
done?
in Canada. So I help build companies build foundations so their overall automations for their sales systems, make sure their offer's good, just conversion rate optimization audit, overall sales process, make sure at a high level if it's good. And if you have most of that in place, we help you correct what needs to be done. And then we get you ready to run ads to reach more people faster, more brand awareness, and help you scale faster, make sure your ads work properly and actually generate sales for you and revenue. It's a fine balance between running ads that work and don't work. And you can't start without a perfect foundation. However, there's a minimum. We have a process around that. That's primarily what we do.
Cool. And you've put your link in the chat.
Yeah.
Good. Are there any areas of focus that for 2026 that you and Davin might be
Systems. We're cleaning those up heavily. We've already done a lot. It's very clear who we serve, great sales material, great client facing sales material. Finishing up my website with that content because I had it rebuilt with some proper SEO and just really finalizing all that. And we've made a lot of progress.
well, good. Well, as always, it's good to have you here. We actually had Davin here a couple weeks ago, or a couple.
Yeah, we show up once in a while. I'm actually gonna have to leave in the next before 7. I have to finish prepping for a speaking at a tech soup event tomorrow from one of the speakers. And there's a few hundred people, so I have to wrap up my notes and
Where
a
is
few
this?
things. I can link you guys to the events
In
here.
your town or a
No, it's
neighboring?
online. It's kind of like an annual
Oh, I
online
see.
gala. I put it in the chat if people are curious. It's for nonprofits.
Linda?
Try. Oh wait, hang. I'll give you the link.
Okay,
There it is. Yeah, so there's 100 people. Now there's over 700 and a few months ago. So that's it. It's kind of like they're once a year and it's a 5 minutes and there's 32 5-minute speeches and it's networking. It's supposed to be a few hundred people there.
And you're speaking on.
The Google Ad nonprofit grant,
Cool.
10,000 USD a month to eligible nonprofits and ad spend credits.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm sure that'll go well.
I know too.
I guess that brings us to me. I am Edward Sanchez. My company is Brass Ring Web Design. I'm in San Diego, California. We're experiencing January to the degree of we've been all the way down to the low 70s and high 60s here. I know you get the grin out of the Canadian. It's always funny when we talk about San Diego because I mean it's like rock solid on 70.3 degrees most of the year.
That's why I laugh. It doesn't really change. The summers get kind of warm, the winter cools down, but it's always sitting around 70-ish, and it never gets super hot, but it never gets super cold. It's kind of always the perfect temperature.
I mean, and I kind of like it when it drops in January and February. You know, I spent a number of years where I would start the day down at the beach. I would drop my daughter off at school at like 7 o'clock in the morning, and I would go to the beach and I would do a lot of reading and studying and sketching for web design. I would try to keep it non-electronic. And I was especially fond of January and February because, for one thing, nobody would be down there. There'd be a couple days a year when not, you would always have the hardcore older surfers who would be down there because I would set up right in front of the main surf break there at La Jolla Shores, and you'd have these senior surfers who'd be down there with their cup of coffee watching the surf. But there was a few days a year where there wouldn't even be them, and it was just me and the beach, and it truly is. I love weather, but yeah, San Diego does get a little bit of weather, and I'm usually there to enjoy it. But right now, I forget what the high was today. It's we don't get a lot of in January and February. I mean, it's not like you're freezing. It's still shorts weather as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, I build websites primarily for small business. I help I help people over their WordPress woes. I try to make it so I empower them with the WordPress knowledge that they need for their particular project, for their particular business, so they can focus on, we see so many small businesses that waste so much time and money on learning to be a really bad web developer, where that time and money would be spent better becoming a better whatever they do, whether it's a RNA specialist or whatever. And I've worked with RNA specialists before. And anyway, I'm happy to be here. I'm glad to see all of you guys. I will now suggest that we, Mike, how you feel about bringing us some WordPress news?
There's not much this week. Everybody was on vacation. I mean, it's mostly the meetups that are past. But I do have a comment and a question.
Yeah.
And my comment to begin with has to do with the Adobe. And I don't dispute that Adobe is not the Cadillac of, I mean, it's the premier, and it's amazing. What I don't like about it is the price and the steep learning curve. So anybody starting out today, I wouldn't put them in that platform at all, because you can learn, you do so much so quickly, and you're into once you learn those tools, you have to pay through the nose, pay through the nose. That's my criticism of it, not that it isn't a wonderful.
If it makes you money, it
Well,
it
sure,
helped. I got so used to it and all the nesting, I went to other tools that didn't have the same style of nesting
Uh-oh.
because I got used to Adobe of nesting with the nesting and all the advanced stuff. And I got to the point where I had trouble using it. If it's the thing with Adobe is it's designed if you're charging clients and there's enough money support or you're getting enough that your work is paying for it, basically, unless you have the extra money, it's great.
it's
If
a
you're paying
user,
for it, but you're deciding where to cut bills, there's a lot of great cheaper alternatives.
but it's really user specific. I mean, you know the tools. It's like Divi. Most people wouldn't put Divi in it, but if you know Divi and you're good at it, rather than learning another you don't take 12 websites off of Divi to go to another platform. You use Divi,
You
and
use
same
Divi,
thing.
yeah.
If you've been using Adobe for a decade or two, that's a hard transition. But I'm only referring to somebody starting out again.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking of when I choose tools too, sometimes what I'll do is I'll look at what is an industry standard if I need to send a file or I need help. If you pick something that's too obscure, like say DaVinci Resolve, I'll take an example, is not as popular. I'd rather have something that's a lot easier and it probably ends up being cheaper. Say, hey, we need help with Adobe, more people know it. It's easier to get help, but it depends. If it's just a one-person show and you're never really going to hire help, use whatever you want. If you're building a system, you might have to bring other people in periodically.
Yeah.
Depends what your decision tree is. So sometimes
Yeah.
I think it's not about me. It's what is something, it's like if you get Shopify, arguably, yes, it has, like we've discussed. However, if you know you need to bring in help, sometimes it's easier to get more consistent support and find someone than it might be for WooCommerce. So it's kind of like it's not always a decision. There's many factors in it, and you have to really weigh them out.
There's no
And
one
there's
word
no
answer.
choice actually in the industry. There's no choice. If you work for an agency or a design firm or a large company and you bring in an illustrator, everybody's using actually the same tools. There used to be a time when people use Quark or PageMaker or InDesign, but now it's the Creative Suite. And so it's like going into a company and not being able to use PowerPoint or Word. People will just be like, well, that's stupid. I mean, it's the language. And for print, I think for online, it might be different, but for print, there are fewer variables in terms of fonts and the way everything works together. So
Well,
everybody's
there's
using,
fewer print.
yeah, no kidding. That's why I have a biotech today. It's
Yeah,
So,
I'm
so my
definitely a whole new world.
So my question was directed to Hetty, and I was wondering if you made your deadline today and your
Sort it was
conference.
it's the conference, it's JPM, JP Morgan, biomedical conference, for investors, and the whole industry is in San Francisco, as are I have two guys up there right now, and they're meeting with people. And so they are giving them materials and everything, but I just know that people are going to be Googling our website, which is usually not a problem because investors don't necessarily want it. They don't want it to be too pro or too advanced because we're early stage company, but it just can't be non-functional or stupid. It's a little bit stupid right now because my images are low res. They're almost just for position. So I have to get that going. But there are a couple things that again, if we are at that place, I do have some questions, really basic
I
questions
was
and
just
things.
wondering if you and Lance got the changes you wanted to have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you
He's
so
a
much.
pretty
Thank
nice
you. You
guy.
you like took his arm and you twisted it behind his back.
Well, he's a dippy
But
guy too.
I
So
was so desperate, and
Before, if
thank
if
you
I
for
may
that.
just jump in really quick. Hey, Mike, are you sure there's nothing that you can show us on the
well, yeah,
digital
I can show
collective?
you the point was
Yeah,
is
let's
everybody was
try
on
to.
vacation and then there was no news. Nothing from WooCommerce, nothing from WordPress. I got a couple things if you
Well,
want,
let's,
but
I mean, it may be a curtailed, and we'll get our, because remember, I mean, we have replay folks that will multiply the number of participants that we have here, and so for their
yeah,
benefit, we
if you want,
usually do a news. Understandably, January is a little bit of a thin month in a lot of ways, but I know that you always have, in addition to highlighting different WordPress related and Woo related meetups, we also have uh, resources. I know that you've said that there's not much in the way of news over the holidays for WordPress and Woo World, but maybe you can give us a little bit of what you did put
sure.
together for
It's
news.
interesting. You were talking about fonts, Hetty. I just changed fonts on a bunch of my websites, and I'm going with the serif. I think I went Bakersfield. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
on the medical one, I think it works pretty good. On the Advanced Digital Collective, I'm not as quite as happy with it, but anyway, I'll go ahead and share.
Baskerville's a real font, an actual real,
Yeah, from the 1700s or something when
yeah.
I was
So
digging into it. But
that's
I
cool.
needed something on my medical site, my Advanced Mineral Compounds website. I did not like that font at all, but it was built for me like 12, 15 years ago,
Um,
2013, so 13 years ago. I cannot share the screen.
Oh, hang on. Let's.
Eddie, what is your website?
um, let's see. So the
You
one
should
that
be good now,
the
Mike.
one that will embarrass myself, that one, I'll put to here.
Oh, but it can always be improved.
Can I still do that? www, because I do that. Let's see if it gets
Yeah, yeah, you can still do that.
okay. So it's we've been stealth. It's the stupidest thing. We've been stealth, so we wanted a website that didn't tell anybody too much, but we had to look like we were legit, and that was when we were hiring. This is maybe 4 years ago, and I really haven't done much since. But I really do need to improve it.
I would focus more on the content, really. Who's your team? Who's your investors? What problems, like, and what do you
Yeah,
solve? And
I
what are your
get,
service? What are
I
your
totally get that, and that is
uh,
definitely that's something else altogether. It's like, but yes, there's we're in a space where we're looking for investors, but we're building a client-facing targeted site because they're just going to want to know that story that we're going to tell the clients. But we have a whole different, there's pitches and there's decks and there's, one sheets that are the investor language, but that stay separate from the site. So we
Okay,
really
guys, I'm
don't
going to
have
try
much.
to, pardon the interruption, Hetty. I want to
No
keep
worries.
us on track.
Okay.
And we were headed down the Woo News track. So
Yeah.
let's take care of that. Let's put a bookmark in your issue for a
Thank you.
minute, and we'll come back to it.
All
We
right,
got
this
the
should be
Woo
very
jump.
quick. This should be quick because, like I said, there wasn't much news. This is a grok image.
That's
This took
fine.
about 30 seconds to do. I asked for a ski jump and woo jump, and that's what they gave me. Not quite what I had in mind, but it works. Up
Interesting.
and coming meetups. Everybody knows how to find Eric and Eagle's sites. Those are links there. Most of these upcoming WordPress meetups have
Well,
passed.
remember, not everybody on our replay may, so take a minute and give us those links because those are very useful. Eric's and Eagles are gold. We don't want to. First of all, to get to, you know, Mike put his link in the chat, but it's at advanceddigitalcollective.com, and you want to go to the Woo blog to get to this. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So if you go to the main page, there's a blog here. There's a list of meetups. There's probably 30, 40 there that are mostly online. You go to the blog, and then each one, I put all the links in the blog post. That way I don't have to keep putting it into the chat. So you hit to the blog, this one, and we always highlight Eric, who has meetups every month, and Eagle, who has meetups every month. And then they have their own web pages with a ton of information there. And these links are hot if you get to that, to the post. And as I was saying, these up and coming meetups have almost all passed. We're down to the WordPress Web Help, which is this one at Ed's. But tomorrow there's New York City WordPress. It's a little weird getting in and out of that one for some reason. Winsome, I think, runs that. Anyway, that's tomorrow, 3 p.m. These are all Pacific time.
I was
Baltimore,
going to ask because it doesn't indicate that.
Most of these are recurring, of
other
course,
meetups
right?
this week, Pacific time. So
Okay, cool.
Baltimore is tomorrow. They're getting into the accessibility. And then for those that are using Elementor, the Elementor group has got a working on website speed using Elementor, and that'll be Wednesday, 10 o'clock, a couple hours before Woo Wednesday. The current version of WooCommerce is 10.4.3. As of a few days ago, there was no new posts. There wasn't hardly anything since the middle of December. WordPress, we're on 6.9. Last I checked, I haven't checked the last day or two. I'm getting ready to do the stuff for this week. WordPress is launching a plugin to help with SEO for AI searching.
Hey, Edward from Brass Ring Web Design popping in for a sec to tell you how we can help your DIY website project by making your website effective, not just pretty. At Brass Ring, we take a big picture approach to digital marketing, building a strong foundation that drives long-term growth. We use our hub and spoke traffic model. Yes, of course, we design high-performing WordPress websites that serve as your central marketing hub. We also coordinate traffic to it from key platforms like email marketing, SEO, social media, and ads. We align every aspect of your digital presence for lasting success. More than just ad managers, we're your partner, optimizing the entire customer journey to better use your time and marketing investment and deliver lasting value. Training and coaching you along the way means you continue to save DIY money and retain control. And now, back to our meeting.
Incidentally, I've got another tool from the Ohio WordPress meetup called MilliSearch, which is an advanced search engine plugin that I'm going to probably be sharing tomorrow as a free tool. They were free and paid. But anyway, WordPress is launching a plugin to help improve SEO, which you can read about there. Now, this is from Forbes.com. Now, Forbes.com didn't just talk about that particular SEO stuff. They talked about 5 different things that were kind of making the news. A lot of it centered around AI. So somewhat of a useful article. SMBs utilize agentic AI to transform outdated WordPress sites. And this is small, medium businesses, what that SMB stands for. But they're using AI to take old websites and bring them up to date and, I don't know that the people that in our group would use it. They'd probably go ahead and update it their own way, their own practices. This was coming from the Detroit Free Press, oddly enough. It might have been some kind of press release, but the article was kind of got into how they were using AI agents to handle a lot of these routine chores. Managing receivables. I just shared this. I think I got this from the admin bar on Facebook or somewhere. So anyway, what happened was if you go to the website, it's this. It says, should have paid your website developer. Services were delivered. Payment from Joseph Smith Furniture remains outstanding. If you need access, pay me. So there's one way to handle your receivables. I don't know if I would do that, but you know. In Woo Wednesday, Eagle said doing something like that exposes you to legal consequences as well. You don't just get to go and cripple somebody's services. It's a little bit more involved with that. And having had to deal with lawyers and litigation a couple of times, yeah, that's not a path you really want to go down if you can help it. And for free resources, this Obi is one, and it's not all free. They have a free and a paid version, but you can create classes. So whatever you want to learn about, you want to do, I don't know, learn how to knit, or you want to build go-karts, or you want to, and you can put it in there, and AI, it will generate these lessons for you. Now, apparently, a couple of people are playing around with it. Says you can't really transfer too much. You got to get to the higher versions of it before you can. It's very useful. But if you want to learn a particular subject, you can just plug in what you want, and here's a bunch of examples that people are doing, and it will create courses for you. And that's on the free side. And since we like free, I like sharing free. There's Obi or Obi. It might be after the instrument.
Oh yeah, Obo, O-B-O.
Oh, oboe, yeah.
Obo, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so maybe Oboe will create a song for you or something, or a tune that you like. So anyway, as I was saying, it's very short. Everybody was on vacation. They're all coming back on Monday, Tuesday. Nobody's posting much for new news. I expect things to pick up again this Wednesday. And this news is from a Woo Week is Wednesday to Wednesday, because Woo Wednesdays is at noon Pacific time, and all of these meetups are at that I share are Pacific time. So there you go.
Very good. Thank you, Michael. I think you tend to undervalue the worth of your contribution. So I'm always grateful that you do that.
Well, I appreciate you rounding up.
Yeah, I think we always have to keep in mind that there is a replay audience that increases, the overall reach of what we're able to achieve, and not everybody has who watches a replay has necessarily maybe attended either here or Woo Wednesday, which, by the way, I recommend. There's some real black belt users and WordPress gurus that attend there, and some good connections you might want to make, like Eric and Eagle that Mike referred to. So let's come back to Hetty. I kind of rudely jumped in, but can you take us back to where we were in our discussion with you? Don't forget to.
We're done with the introduction portion, right? We're talking about
Yeah.
content
Now
portion.
we're just take it away.
I'm completely blanking. I know I was talking about my site in some way, but I do have actually a very specific question that you guys probably know like the back of your
You were
hand.
talking about some things that some call them demands or requirements that your higher ups had for your website that you wanted
So
to.
the website has very few demands on it right now. Definitely, I do need to work on the content, but that will happen separate from this meeting completely, because we've developed a bunch of materials to communicate the messaging that we need to our audience. So the website right now is just basically some companies at our stage of funding just have a splash screen that says coming soon. So, we're a little bit further than that, but we don't have a lot to put out there, as our science is somewhat stealth a bit, but we do have to say a little bit more. But I do want it to just not, I don't want to look like a bunch of goofballs, and I shouldn't be the one doing the site. I mean, we have absolutely no money right now, so it's not an option for me to pay an expert to do it. And that's really, what we should be doing. So me being the resident expert within my company, I'm creating the site right now. And the problem is I forget, I do things and then I forget sort of how I got in there, but I'm again getting a little bit better. And this week I've grown by leaps and bounds in terms of what I can do. But I do have a question, because I tend to work on a desktop, and a pretty sizable one at that. And I realize the rest of the world is looking on their phones. And so when I take a look at and especially in my phone, because I can't see anymore, I have like my type pumped up really big. Everything looks terrible on my phone. So I was in the site and working with Lance, Mike, and he was showing me how to go and look at the different views and then adjust accordingly. And then we got offline, and I discovered that maybe I saved improperly, but it was changing it for all three platforms. There's the phone, the iPad, and then the desktop versions, and you click and you can change things around. And it wasn't saving the three different versions. And again, I'm in Divi. I don't know if that makes a difference. Does that make a difference? It does. Okay.
Yeah, I think
Save
so.
it.
Oh,
Don't
dang.
you have a Cadence site too?
I do. And
You
that,
know how you can be the responsive, you know how to edit in each module on Cadence, right? It's hard for me to believe that Divi doesn't have something
Divi
similar.
does have that. I was
Daryl
actually
knows.
shocked. I couldn't even tell which one I was in, to tell you the truth. I see. So you're thinking it's a Divi thing? It's a fidgety Divi
It's
thing.
usually the theme. I mean, there's
It
different
should
ways to do it,
save
but
it.
your theme should be able to edit in each
Yeah.
responsive mode.
Well,
But I think
WordPress itself, the Gutenberg, does have that ability
Yes.
to show you the different views.
So is it maybe that I'm not saving? Another thing is, every time I exit, every time I go back in, no matter how many times I save, it always tells me there's like a different unsaved version. Like, I don't know what that message says,
Word-
but
Well,
something.
WordPress
you've
does
got
that.
autosave enabled, and it's
Okay.
so it is
Is
saving
that
beyond your manual saves. That's
so it's basically telling me that, so I don't have to worry about it. I just ignore that message. But can should I don't know. Is this outside the scope of the meeting because it's a Divi problem? I don't mean
No, I don't think
no.
it's
I
outside the
mean,
scope, but
we're solidly in the WordPress world.
yeah.
okay. Can
So
I
Divi
share?
Themes has a section in there explaining about
Mhm.
editing for mobile. Have you?
And yes, and I completely did all of that, but it didn't, it changed the size for the other platforms, and I'm not sure how, is that a strange thing? Is there a
There's a
button?
workaround on this. So with these builders, it's not just Divi. Sometimes what you have to do
Mm-hmm.
is take one element, build it for desktop, make a duplicate version, make it work on mobile, then tell them, say, okay, only show this one on mobile, only show this one on desktop. You actually have to have duplicate element of the same thing that only show based on the device because they are a builder, right? It's not custom. And that gets around it.
Well,
If you
different
can
also
duplicate it,
different
and there's
themes.
toggles, Elementor has them. Most of the big brand and name ones do.
Yeah, I
So
mean that is the thing. There's not a standardized way of doing these things. So different themes, different editors will have different ways of managing your breakpoints and essentially your the responsive version of your website. And remember, this is this is one of my favorite topics because I mean there are so many things that you cannot control. You cannot, that each individual viewer has a lot of controls that they can do to enable to craft their own mobile view or whatever view, so you can, it's usually you're designing for the average, in trying to stay roughly within a broad range of parameters. One thing that I find really useful, there is a Chrome, because I'm always checking things in the actual browser.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I always, having multiple monitors, if I'm working on a website, especially if I'm working on source material from one website to another website or an old version, whatever, I'll have those on my left and right monitors, and I will have my live public view
Mm-hmm.
up. But what I do add to Chrome is a resizer plugin, which it allows you to have, stock. It has different resolution points that you can choose. You can go right to, it'll tell you iPhone 5, or it'll tell you 1024 by 768, and you can choose that, and really quick it'll resize your browser to that resolution. I find it handy to use, along with the built-in previews that you have, which I tend to rely less on those and more on the actual browser, because I figure the browser itself, Chrome, last I checked, they have 90, I forget what percentile, but they've got most of the browser market globally.
Yeah, and Edge is Chromium now, so it's based on Chrome as well. The
Yeah,
only,
and it's
and so you have Firefox, which
Firefox was down in the last I checked, and I do check from time
yeah,
to time.
yeah,
It was down like in the single digits.
yeah, you've got
Um,
Firefox, and then you have Safari, and Safari's its own other world of
and
display
Safari
issues.
will be down like 3 or 4% of the browser market. So, I mean, in terms of making your website truly ubiquitous and truly universal, if you're designing to Chrome, you're just by market forces, you're naturally eliminated, because we used to have to do, when Safari had a much greater market share, when Firefox was huge for a long time, and they've plummeted.
They're like
Um,
2% now.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
They,
yeah, and I looked into this. So when you go into that tool you're using and you go to custom, so I was looking at if you, when you go to the different settings, and then you can actually add a custom device. You can find the common resolutions of most phones now. So I think it's, you can look them up, the common Samsung resolutions and Apple.
Mm-hmm.
So your browser can actually do that. That's kind of an advanced way. I mean, if you want to get into that, what Edward's talking about there, I see it here.
I do have a question. So we're talking about what people are viewing, but should we be using Chrome? Should I be using Chrome in when I'm doing the build? Is that a little bit
I would.
more foolproof? Because
well,
yeah, because I
look at
do
the numbers
notice
here.
when I
They
know when I was applying for a grant once, I didn't have a window, and I spent so long with tech support, with the grant office, and it turned out to be a Safari problem.
Oh, use yeah. Safari is a great, it has great privacy. It's a great browser. Yeah, but it's just because how many people use it. You need to
look at the
like
numbers, Hetty.
typically if you
I mean,
you can still use Safari if you like it, but have Chrome available, or or if you're doing it where something like a website, I think makes sense where most people will be on Chrome. But anything else, use what you personally prefer, right? You don't have to just give up Safari, but use it where it makes sense to use what most people are on.
you can
Mhm.
see trends here going back years. I mean, we've seen what was formerly, oh geez, what was it called before Edge?
Edge,
Um, what's that?
Internet
Internet
Explorer.
Explorer.
Yeah, Internet Explorer. Geez. Um,
Man, that's still around for
the numbers have
enterprise.
really moved around a little bit, but at the end of the day, and these numbers are a little behind, but
Mhm.
as of September of 2025, Edge only had
Edge
12%,
is
which
Chrome
is
now,
actually
though.
quite an improvement. They
Yeah,
were
but
down. Look at where they were in 2019 and 2020. You know,
they
they're
are.
down
But
in.
no, the thing is here, though, we have to just keep in mind is as of when they rebuilt it, it's still Chromium based technically. So it's still almost Chrome. If you look, it can run Chrome plugins now. So consider Edge really to be like pretty close to Chrome in reality nowadays.
Okay,
What
okay. Well,
what are
that would
these
explain.
percentages of? What does this percentage mean?
This is the of the browser. Well, this is
In,
according to W. This comes out of the W3, but
Market share.
which is let's say controlling entity having to do with how the internet progresses. They do a lot of monitoring of what people are doing it and what they're doing it with. But look at these numbers.
but are these installs per device or use?
This is of the world browser market
Hmm.
share.
So,
Chrome.
Edward, I think what she's asking out here is this is probably measuring website visits as a whole. What are browser people using when they visit a website?
Yeah,
I see.
Probably that's what I would think. I may be
we've
wrong.
seen most people
Mhm.
using Chrome to a really high extent, although it has come down slightly. We'll see if this is a continued drop. But I mean, the numbers are so stark. I mean, if
Yeah.
to be no serious web developer right now is designing primarily for Safari. Um, the more professional of a web developer you are, the larger a team you are, the more resources you probably have to be doing the testing, because this is all about testing as you design. The average freelance web developer doesn't have the resources to be designing perfectly to make sure that Opera, with 1% market share, looks perfect, across all devices.
Hmm.
It just isn't
What?
resource smart. Now, mind you, you're not. You've told us you're not a professional web developer, so you're not as bound by this. But I would still say that this speaks a lot. This is what people are doing. You're more
One thing to consider, though, Ed, is when I was working for Preferred Hotel Group, it was way back, like in whatever it was, 2015 or so.
uh
Even though there were many, many more users of it wasn't Chrome at that point. I was internet. Anyway, of the browsers, we represented 800 worldwide hotels, including the Wynn hotels, Trump hotels, Mondrian, Waldorf. I mean, really high-end hotels. And overwhelmingly, the bookings came on Mac devices at that time, even though overwhelmingly, the installs, there were greater number of installs, because at that point, IBM was king. But in terms of purchasing, we were very aware of who we were catering to. So maybe that
and that's
doesn't
good.
apply to everybody, but in terms of when, you're marketing and trying to get, conversion rates, we knew who our audience was. And so we definitely designed to that. And that was the Mac market and the
Well,
handheld,
you definitely
the
want to be
phone markets were all Mac. So
no, you want to be mindful of that, but again, I mean, the Apple platform has always been somewhat elitist. I mean, one of the things that makes PC ubiquitous is the fact that the simple cost, it's not as proprietary. You want to upgrade your Apple device, you're likely having to use Apple products, and you want to buy a laptop, it'll cost you $2,500, whereas you can probably get a similar equivalent in the PC realm for under 1,000, So, I mean,
Yeah.
that does make it a difference, in practical terms. But no, I mean, it's a great thing. But I mean, look at the market
There's
share.
another question to ask here. So Hedy hit a good point. Does your particular audience tend to use Mac? If they do, even in your case, there is a reason to find a balance between making it work on Chrome or an Edge, basically the same browser now, and make sure that it works. Most of it works almost the same as possible with Safari, if that's the case. If not, it goes on a case by case basis. Some audiences will be heavily iPhone as I don't know if they have Safari and iPhone, do they? Is that what it uses?
It's, I don't
I
know.
mean, I
I
guess so,
don't
yeah.
actually, I
My
mean, you
iPhone
do, but
uses Safari.
yeah.
Yeah, so that might be where this comes from. So if your mobile traffic is most of it, and say you get a lot of iPhone traffic, then that answer would be you do want to be checking. So it may be the case for you. If you're going to get a lot of iPhone mobile traffic and that's your audience, you just, like you said, you made a very good point that the general best practice is optimized for the common, most popular. But if percent is the large percent of who your traffic is using something that isn't mainstream, you
Mhm.
definitely optimize for it. And there's two ways to get that information. You've got analytics you can collect, and all. There's ways to get that information.
Well,
What you said is
it
so.
doesn't surprise me that, that for a hotel or I don't know if I call that luxury, but you know, more affluent users are going to be going to Marriott and things like that. It just makes sense. You're going to have a
It, and it's probably all different now. And your points are really good. It's probably leaning more toward what you're saying right now, but the numbers aren't, I was just saying the numbers aren't always what they seem. It was shocking to me because it felt to me like everybody out there was, on, as we always used to say, on DOS systems
and
versus
this was you
yeah.
were basing this on numbers from
Conversion
like Google.
rates, absolute booking rates, because we had all
But
these
I mean,
guys that just analyze that.
you were getting this from Google Analytics data.
No, it's just our whole internal team. Again, this is preferred hotel group, so 800 independent high-end hotels around the world. And so instead of the Marriotts and the Sheratons, and those would be the more common hotels like Trump had 3 at the time. There were 2, Waldorf, Fairmont hotels. They're super high-end, but there aren't a ton of them. And so they would join up, with preferred or another group for buying power. So just kind of those estate hotels. So it was a different market, and probably not the numbers, but we would look at who would come in, click around and shop, and then who would come in. So we were looking at conversion rates, and so they were very, very interested in the Mac audience, which was
Yeah,
interesting to
well,
me because it felt small at the time.
I would definitely be testing, but that does still you still the fact that as I'm looking at it here, and they've got basically about 10 years worth of stats.
Mhm.
The Safari platform never broke even 5% of the overall market. So that does say something.
And are they measuring
And
by
that's,
desktop or are they measuring by all platforms?
say again?
The source that you cited, are they measuring by desktops or all platforms? So I've got a couple of comments for you, Hedy. First of all, Chrome, all the analytics and all the developer tools and the extensions makes it kind of preferred for developers. But
Okay.
you're kind of talking about who's using it, and I think Edward was sort of alluding to, you should test your site on all of the browsers to see if there's a glitch. So when you talk about from the user experience, I don't know if it's so much important, but if you're going to be developing your websites,
Yeah.
a lot of the developers use Chrome because of all the other tools and analytics that are there. So there's two worlds to consider.
Yeah.
I do want to make a comment to Ed too on Firefox. Wyatt, Firefox made an announcement that they were going to had the right to all of the results of all of the searches. They backed off that. This is like 4 or 5 years ago. But once they said that, everybody started bailing on Firefox. That's when they went from, I don't know, 14, 15% of the market down to 3% or whatever. They said they said any search result data they had a right to. Don't know. It didn't seem like the thing you want to advertise, but they paid for it in market share after that.
Yikes.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, it was
they
always my backup browser, but
yeah.
anymore, what do you
Well,
use as a backup browser, Mike?
Brave.
Brave?
And I still use Firefox. I don't. I'm kind of all my social media is wide open. I don't put anything private. I don't care. I can handle the abuse because it really doesn't matter what your opinions are. Someone's going to have a problem with it. And the government crawls through our sites anyway. And that's why I have a problem with the accessibility thing. It's like, oh, government can do facial recognition. They can crawl through your websites and your banking. They'll monitor your license plates and track your travel and doesn't have to disclose a word. But if you're a little mom and pop with a florist or a yard and you don't say privacy policy, that you'll get sued. When the government's all day long is just abusing the Fourth Amendment to no end. I think a lot of those laws are just overblown. I think there is a right that, if you're going to sell people's data, that sort of thing. I'm not against those rules at all. But the government's taking your information and sharing it with other agencies and other people that's not even in the government. And nobody thinks a word about that, right? Anyway, a little bit off, kind of changed the subject. It wasn't my intent.
Well, I would never disagree with you. But we'll save that for the parking lot.
So operating systems then.
Yeah, this is the W3 on OSs. As of, again, September, so they're a little behind. But here we have the percentages. How's just a quick straw poll. Who's using Windows 11?
I'm
I've
using
used Ham.
Okay.
11 and I don't really like 11 that much. So that's why the machine I'm on is 10.
A lot of people are rejecting it, and there's a
It
lot of
requires a
downgrades.
hardware thing. It's hard to upgrade to 11 because if you don't have certain hardware, there's workarounds, but
But I'm saying a lot of people who are on Windows 11 are backing down to Windows 10 and rejecting Windows 11, is my understanding. I was just reading
I'm
an
not
article
sure. I've
about
got
this.
a Windows 11 machine, and I haven't been. It's kind of quirky for some reason. But I'm planning on getting a newer model machine, and I probably will have to go with Windows 11 because all the apps will be updating, all this stuff, and it's all going to be on the future platform. But for right now, I've got what I'm using right now. I went back to Windows 10 for this one because it's more stable with Zoom. It's more stable with the apps. And then I've got the automatic security update from Windows. You can do that with Windows 11 for free, but you got to do it every year. You have to update every year. That was in the May.
I've used 11 for
Six
how
months.
long now? Over a year now, two, maybe three. I upgraded a while ago. It's pretty stable. It's been around long enough. It's stable, and you can adjust it around. And I don't. I use it day to day. I don't really think of anything anymore. It's pretty little things about it. Yeah, like maybe the right click. You can all adjust that stuff. If your hardware doesn't support it, don't. If you don't have enough RAM, if you don't have the processor for all the requirements, if your computer came with it, if it supports it, you won't notice a difference. I mean, really, it's once you get used to it, it's not really that bad. It doesn't crash.
Mine crashed. That was one of the reasons I stopped using it. It was crashing all the time.
That's
I've
different.
got
Yeah, I mean, that's totally valid reason. It's been
yeah
stable for me. Maybe I've upgraded my computer and whatever the
yeah.
reason, it's been great. It doesn't really crash on me. If it crashes and your computer doesn't like it, yeah, totally.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
10 is
It could
still
be the
great.
computer but I got 64 gig on the processor for memory. I've got 6 gig for the CPU. I've got a NVIDIA series, is it the 50 series? I'm not sure
Is
which
it
one, but
AMD?
advanced components, man. It should work like a charm, and it just keeps seizing up, man.
Is it AMD?
Oh, I may have both. That might be the problem.
I remember at one point it had issues with AMD. Maybe it still does with certain models. Mine are Intel. I have 64 gigs of RAM and an older 11th gen i5, and yeah, it's Intel chip. At one point there it was unstable with AMD. There's a patch, but maybe certain models, if you look it up, if an AMD chips just have issues
That
with
was
11. I don't know
NVIDIA.
if
I
that's been
think the
fixed.
one I'm on now has an AMD chip. It's an AMD, and I think it's the graphics card. I mix them up because I have another guy handles all my IT. He does my computers for me. I did a bunch of stuff for him.
Yeah,
So
then that might be. I remember that was one of the big flags. It was a big thing, and Microsoft flagged it.
yeah,
Certain AMD processors were having issues, and apparently they fixed it, but because all mine are Intel, so yeah, hopefully that helps. That could definitely be part of it.
yeah, you might be onto something there. What I've been doing, I've been going through the logs and then putting them into Grok, and then Grok's telling me, and I've been kind of troubleshooting it. But I got something that works over here, and I got stuff to get done. Trying to get a backup computer to, I figure I'm just going to buy another computer and just hopefully, because I think I got to be on Windows 11. I think, I mean, for now, for the next year, maybe even 2 years, I think I can get by with the Windows 10. But eventually, I need to be on because all the new stuff for all the apps, all the stuff there, nobody's doing it for Windows 10. They're all upgrading for Windows 11.
Yeah, I kind of like
Well,
some of the features.
it's worth looking into it because even though they stopped supporting Windows 10, there are people that are, and I'm trying to remember where the it was a video, I believe, that made a compelling case. It
For
wasn't so compelling as I ran to downgrade to 10, but it did say that there are people and larger organizations that are rejecting Windows 11 for a number of things. If you look here, um,
I
people
think that'll be
downgraded
Well,
from
temporary
Windows
though.
11 to Windows 10 primarily due to performance issues, slowness, bugs,
well, yeah, if you're an
resource hogginess.
enterprise and you have older hardware floating around, and also using Windows 11 Home versus Pro, so I upgraded to Pro, you get access to a lot more features, and now you have the group policy, even if it's your own, so you can really adjust and turn things off. If I just run Pro and BitLocker and whatnot, so you can use it as like an IT professional. The Home doesn't have nearly as many features.
Yeah, you
I
put
So
haven't
it's a
in.
had
whole different
Pro in a
experience.
while,
I,
but
I love the Pro version way more because I use some of
I
the
miss
features.
knowing when Windows wanted to run a process. The thing with Windows 10, Windows 11,
You can fix that. There's a
there's too much.
workaround for that. So what you do is you make an account where you're not admin, and then it will prompt you. If you make a default and be an admin, you make a user. This is the best security practice, anyways. If you really want that, don't run in a full admin user account, and then you have to approve it. I mean, this might be getting off track here, but that's how you do it. Then it's like Unix and Linux, and where you don't actually run as admin the whole time. Even Macs like that.
Okay, that makes
So this
sense.
is going off track, but if you want to, if that's a security thing, run
It
it
was
more
a
like
much
other
easier
OSs
it was a
do.
much easier process, I remember in Pro. Of course, I haven't had, the last couple laptops I've had
I
came
think
with
I'd like to ask Daryl a question if I
Home,
could.
and when I looked at the cost of upgrading, it just wasn't into it. But by the way, I did not choose to upgrade to Windows 11. They kept trying to get me to upgrade and kept trying to get me to upgrade. And at a moment where I lost some vigilance, um, I was prompted something which I shouldn't have answered in the affirmative. And next thing I know, my next startup basically upgraded me from 10 to 11, and suddenly I'm having to like reformat stuff and redo my desktop and get used to how it now does things and then missing some features, which I can't necessarily remember off the top of my bat.
They started bringing some of them back. One computer upgraded, then I bought a new one, and it came with an 11 license. So I just upgraded it to Pro when I bought a new computer. It was also in 1 year, it was going to Windows 10 was losing support, I think, in a year or two, anyways. So I figured I might as well upgrade before the security stuff starts falling off.
How much did the upgrade from home premium to Pro?
$99. It's not that much. Because laptops, if you buy a laptop or like computer that comes with the license, like you can buy it out yourself. Like if
Yeah,
you build your own computer, you buy it, but usually when it comes with the home license, it's $99 to the Microsoft store.
that's not too bad. Not too bad.
It's not, and you get better full on BitLocker and all the different group policies, and yeah, it's really nice. Mike had a question, and then I'm actually gonna head out after this. I have to finish prepping
Yeah,
the
we're
last of my
actually at
presentation.
7:35. Let's hear Mike's
Just
question
a
and
quick
then
question for you,
maybe we can
Daryl. Do you
wrap
know the
up.
difference between Windows Enterprise and Windows 11 Pro? Because mine came with, he gave me Enterprise. He always loads my stuff up. And I know for security reasons, you pretty much want Pro over Home, if you can. But I was wondering, do you know if there's a measurable difference between Pro and Enterprise?
They're the same. My understanding is Enterprise, you can reuse the same key multiple times within a certain organization, is my understanding.
Oh, I thought
But
it
they
might
have
be
the
for
same
Teams and,
features.
and shareability. Okay, all right. I asked Eric that, and he said he didn't think there was much of a difference. But
Yeah, they're essentially the same. You can connect them all domain, but what an organization will do, last looked into it, you can buy a whole so many
package of licenses,
licenses, then it
yeah.
can be attached, my understanding, to the same key. It's for simplicity when you're doing, because I have worked in larger deployment environments, and you don't want to be retyping individual keys all the time. It's for simplicity.
Okay, thank you. And good luck with your presentation or
Thank
whatever
you.
you got coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Shall we wind it down? As always, I do leave the meeting open after I stop recording, so that we've got some time if anybody wants to have any further help, if you have any further questions, Hetty, or anything that you want to discuss that maybe we don't want recorded, like our opinions on the state of the world. The last time we met, I shut off the recorder at 7:30, and the meeting was there. The parking lot was still going at 10:30. So that's always interesting. We don't have as many of our parking lots superstars here tonight. But anyway, I want to thank you all for being here. Wish you a really amazing 2026. Grow that business, learn new skills, be better. And with that, we're going to say good evening, and the parking lot will be open in just a moment.
Thanks, Ed.